AutoGeek.net has been serving the detailing community online for over 15 years with premium brands such as Pinnacle, Mothers, Wolfgang, Meguiar's, and Blackfire. Visit AutoGeek.net for all your car care needs. AutoGeek.net. We are car care.
Welcome to AutoGeek's corporate headquarters here in sunny Stuart, Florida. My name is Mike Phillips, and today I'm hosting a question and answer session, and I'm here to answer any question you may have about car detailing in general, paint polishing in specific, or anything related to the car detailing industry, or any other question you might have. This is the first time we've done this. It's a lot of fun. I'm actually working with my coworker Yancey, who is a genius at setting this kinds of stuff up, and just ready to go live. We actually got a big night here tonight. We're going to be detailing out a 1940 Ford sedan delivery. So as soon as I'm done here, I'll be disappearing into the garage, doing my favorite thing, and that's making things shiny. So hey, whatever questions you have, just throw them my way. If there's no questions to start with, I thought I'd recap my history and how I got to AutoGeek. Well, just to start with, what actually happened, the way I got to AutoGeek is Bob McKee got a hold of me. He's the president and CEO of AutoGeek, and he invited me to come out here and teach a detailing class. I was teaching at Meguiar's at the time, and teach it here for the 2009 Detail Fest. And with the permission from Meguiar's, I came on out and taught what I called my Detailing 101 class, which was an entry-level detailing class which focused on how to work by hand, how to work by machine, DA polishers. And after that class was over, and it was a huge success. In fact, I made a lot of friends here in Florida and from around various states, from people that traveled down here at that Detail Fest that are still good friends today. But after that class was over, Bob asked me to come back to his office and made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and that was to leave Meguiar's, and I did that on good terms, and then move out here to Florida and basically do the same types of things I was doing for Meguiar's, but then do them for AutoGeek. And we decided together that we would do a TV show that was called Watson AutoGeek's Garage. We did that for 2 years, and that's kind of how I ended up here at AutoGeek. And it's been a great ride. It's been a lot of fun. I've been here a total of a little over 5 years now, and we've done a lot of what I call firsts in the industry since coming here. And I always like doing that. Sometimes when I do things and it's the first time it's been done in the industry, there's a lot of excitement and passion behind these types of projects, and I really enjoy those. But that's kind of the short story as to how I got here from Southern California and now here in sunny Stuart, Florida. And I really like living here. Sunny Stuart, Florida is sunny most of the time, and it does rain quite a bit here. You can actually set your watch by the rain. About 3 or 4 o'clock every day it'll rain for about a half hour, then it goes away and clears off, and gets the air clean, makes everything fresh. Everything's green around here. Get your cars all wet, but that's okay. We know how to polish out the water spots, so it works pretty good for us. But that's kind of that's how I got here, and living in Stuart, I really like it. Stuart's a very small town. Anybody that's ever been here knows that. It's I call it a small, sleepy fishing town, and I really like it, especially after living in Southern California for 7 years. A lot of traffic. Very hectic, fast-paced life when you live in SoCal, and that's good for a while, and it was a good experience to do all that, but I much prefer the small, quiet, low-traffic, low-crime environment we have here in Stuart, Florida, and really enjoy it. And of course, working at AutoGeek is just a ton of fun. Every day it's like getting paid to come in and do exactly what you love to do, and for me that's always been 2 things, and I talk about this on the forum all the time, and that's I have 2 passions in my career. One is I love to detail cool cars, what I call SIVs, or special interest vehicles. That doesn't mean they got to be an old street rod. It could be a Ferrari, but it's something I describe a SIV like this. If you were to park your car at a parking lot of a major store and you're walking into the store and you see a car that causes you to turn your head twice or maybe even veer out of your path to go over and look at it, that probably qualifies as a special interest vehicle. So I've always trended towards working on what I call cool cars like that. So I love detailing cars, but I also really like showing other people how to detail cars. And the reason for this is it kind of goes back to how I got started in this whole industry. And as a sunny young buck growing up in Albany, Oregon, the second car I purchased was a 1948 Plymouth Coupe. My dad and me, we pulled it out of a barn. We literally tied a rope onto it, hooked it to his truck, and pulled it out of a barn, got all the hay and rat's nest out of it, and I slowly fixed this thing up, and I got it a brand new paint job, saved all my money up, and had it painted, and then after I got it all running on the street, I blew the engine up. And my dad got all mad at me and said, "You go park that thing in the backyard so you get the money to fix it." So I did. I parked it with its brand new paint job in our backyard, which was behind a fence so no one could get back there and mess with it. And I saved my money up and I rebuilt the motor. And over the course of the time it took to go from exploded motor to back on the road again, the brand new paint job had oxidized. And in Oregon, of course, it rains a lot, and it developed large, like really large water spots all over the finish. And so I got it running, and then I asked my shop teacher in high school, hey, you know, look at my paint, how do I fix this? And he told me to do the basic things that everybody did back in the old days, and that was to rub the paint out with DuPont rubbing compound, then rub the paint out with DuPont polishing compound, and then put some wax on it. And just want to make sure my shop teacher was, you know, had it right, I asked my dad. My dad basically told me the same thing. And just to double check both those guys, I went down to the auto parts store that I went to all the time, and I asked the guys behind the counter that I trusted, and they said basically the same thing, you know, rub it out with the rubbing compound, then polish compound, put the wax on. So I did all that, and the first thing I did is I rubbed the entire car down. This is a fairly large car, a 1948 Plymouth Special Deluxe Coupe, painted hot rod red, but now it was oxidized. And I rubbed it down with this rubbing compound, and it felt like sand and gritty. It's very, very abrasive product. And when I was done, it was so gritty, I thought, I know, I'll wash the car to get all the grit off. So, of course, I went into the kitchen and got Mom's dishwashing soap and washed the car. And the car went from a bright hot rod red, which is what I wanted, to almost like a pink color, like Barbie pink. And it really hurt inside because this is not the color car I wanted for my daily driver. So the next I rubbed it out with, I figured, well, there must be more to this because everybody told me this is what you do. So then I rubbed it out with the polishing compound, and again I washed with the dish soap. And again, it was all pink. It was a very light color pink, and it really was starting to bug me because, you know, this is not what I wanted for my hot rod coupe. So then I put the wax on it, and luckily the wax kind of brought that red color back. But here's as I circle back around, here's what that means, is I remember when I was looking for information on how to fix the paint on my car, I got bad information. Now, of course, the people giving me this information, that was the best they knew, so they weren't doing it with any sort of intention. That's how you did it back in the old days. But I remember that experience I went through. And so when people come to the forum or come to one of our classes and they're looking for help, what I try to do is help them get it right the first time without damaging their paint and without using archaic products that put scratches in when they're actually trying to get scratches out. And it's that empathy that I feel for people, you know, struggling to find out how to do it, especially when it's their first time. And that's what drives my passion. So I love detailing cars. I love showing other people how to detail cars too. Now, Yancey said we got a question. What's the question, Yancey?
We got a question is, hey Mike, this is from Kevin Davis. I've been telling people about your training and how much it's helped me. Do you have any new training sessions scheduled for 2015 I can start telling people about?
Actually, I'm glad you asked that question. We do. In the past 5 years, we've had a 2-day class, and we cover a lot of topics in that. And we found now that because we've added so many tool sets, so we've added the Rupes Bigfoot polishers. We have a dedicated session for the Cyclo polishers, the Flex 3401, rotary buffers, machine sanding, steam cleaners, and extractors. And plus a lot of other tools, like this weekend at my detailing bootcamp class, we're going over how to use the Dr. Color Chip paint chip repair system, Expel headlight covers. I mean, inside, outside, every single tool set you can think of. That we're expanding the class to 3 days. And the third day will be optional, and the third day, at this time, we're scheduling that to be the wet sanding class. So some people are interested in that, while other people, they're mostly focused on the other areas. So if you want to attend the wet sanding class, that'll be on Sunday, and the class will actually start on Friday now. So it'll be a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday class. And the first one will be in May, and I'm personally looking forward to it because I think it'll be a lot more fun as far as the class goes, because I always have cool cars here, and now we're just going to have more of them. So yeah, that's new for 2015.
Okay, Mike, I got another one from Axel Bart in Las Vegas, Nevada. Says, hi Mike, have you ever used Croftgate products?
No, I never have. I know the brand, and a good friend of mine, Joe Fernandez, he dealt with the company for a while. They wanted him to be a spokesperson of some sorts. And, you know, I trust Joe, and the fact that Joe is no longer working with Croftgate products is probably an indicator to me of you know, that product line. Nothing wrong with it, but you know, if it doesn't get Joe's attention, it probably wouldn't get my attention. Here at Auto Geek, we're always open to new products. The way you would, I know a lot of people send me, this is interesting, let me just kind of pigtail off that. A lot of people contact me and they want to send me a product to test. And that's kind of understandable because I'm fairly transparent and I'm on the forum a lot, working a lot of cars, showing different products and processes. So that's kind of a normal thing for someone outside the industry to think. But actually the protocol would be to send your information to info@autogeek.net. Whatever marketing materials, whatever pricing structure, whatever the product is, that'll get routed to the right person, and if there's any interest in that product line, they'll contact you. If it gets past that person, then it ends up on my desk and then I can use it. But that is actually the correct procedure to get a product into the autogeek.net store, which is, by the way, the world's largest online supplier of car detailing supplies.
Cool. What would you say that is the hardest thing that you've had to learn in all the years of you doing detailing?
To me, the hardest thing to do is usually engine detailing, and mostly that's because of the complexity of what's underneath the hood of modern cars. Nowadays, you know, if you own anything from about year 2000 on up, you pop the hood and it's just a big plastic cover that covers everything, and there's not a lot to detail. But if you want to pull the covering off, or you have anything older than that, back to about 1980, there's a lot of electronics underneath the hood. And I wrote an article about this years ago. The title of the article goes like this: How to Use a Discussion Forum to Detail an Engine. And I know that doesn't sound right, because you think when you're going to detail an engine, you're going to go out to the garage and start working on the actual engine. And what that article says is to protect yourself, because some of these components, if you ruin them, they're quite costly to replace, plus the labor involved in taking it to a shop and having them replaced. So what that article says is, before you go and start working on an engine, join a discussion forum for your car, whatever it might be, and then find their section, the appropriate area, and post a question asking for help on what to look out for when working on underneath the hood on the engine. And mostly, most of these forums have a guru, okay, the guru that's been there, done that, and they'll usually answer a question and say, hey, there's a sensor right below the steering column, you want to make sure you cover that, or hey, up on top, make sure you don't get this wet, whatever it is. But try to do a little bit of research first, and I do this myself. If I'm going to work on someone's engine, if I'm not familiar with that engine, I will try to find out as much as I can to protect myself, so I don't end up having to pay for a shop or a repair bill. So, good question.
Is there any good tips that you could tell these people or inform these people about, like when you're dealing with a new customer, like a good way to approach the subject of dealing about their car?
Yeah, that is a good question. You know, I'm a big proponent of educating the customer for a number of reasons. One is I'm always trying to help guys to increase the value of the work they do, so they can increase the price, so they can make more money and kind of move up the scale in the economic cycle of detailing cars. But along that line, one of the most important things you can do, and again, I got an article on this, is to match your services to your customer. So what I teach people to do when dealing with the customer for the first time is, the first thing you do is evaluate the customer. And a lot of people say, hey, evaluate the car. Go look at the car, see what's wrong, give them an estimate. But I say go a little bit further than that. Talk to the customer, get to know them, see what their expectations are. You know, a lot of people that I've met in my life, if they find out you charge a lot of money to detail their car, that they think that after they've paid this money, that now nothing will happen to the car. And they'll feel like they can take it to a car wash and the paint shouldn't get scratched. But that's not true. We're not changing the paint when we detail the car. We're repairing it and bringing it back up to a higher standard, but we're not physically changing it, so it will still get scratched. And so to kind of put this together, if I meet a guy that has a black Corvette or a black Porsche or a black Mercedes-Benz, and he wants me to detail and give it that show car finish, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask him, well, after I'm done, how are you going to take care of the car? How are you going to wash it? And if they say, well, I'm going to take it to the dealership, they wash it every time I get the oil changed, or I'm going to run it down to the car wash. That's what I've always done. That's why this car's scratched up right now, probably. But then I'm going to probably say, well, I don't really want to put a show car finish on your car because it's just going to get scratched up again. If I can educate them to understand that after, you know, their paint is restored, that now it has to be washed and touched carefully. So, no, if you're wiping it with a spray detailer, waxing it themselves, whatever it might be, it has to be touched carefully using high quality products, wash mitts, drying towels, microfiber towels, that kind of thing, the products themselves. If I can convince them that that's how they're going to have to take care of the car, then I'd work for that car and for that customer and do that type of work. If not, I would tend to want to send them to one of my friends, let them have the detail, or talk them into a lower level of quality, perhaps just doing a one-step using a cleaner wax or doing a two-step, but not trying to get every single swirl and scratch out of the paint. Because if it's not going to hold up, they're going to be disappointed in your work, and you don't want someone out there bad-mouthing you. That could hurt your reputation. Make sense?
Do you feel that the expectations of these clients and stuff, they're all expecting this bright and shiny thing, or they're, you know, go along with the work and the amount of hours and the money? Do you think that all correlates, or does people just sometimes have unrealistic opportunities?
Oh, I think it's a little bit of both. You know, a lot of people, I'd say most people that own a nice car don't really know anything about the paint. They don't understand that first the paint is thin from the factory, and that it's harder than traditional paints. And even though it's harder, it still scratches really easily. And that's the three characteristics about modern clear coats that I'd say most people don't understand. And that's our job as a detailer. That's our job to educate them on that. And then again, match your services to your customer. The largest percentage of the market just wants shiny paint, black tires, clear glass, and a clean interior. They don't want a show car finish on their soccer mom type van. Or their Ford Taurus or their Honda Accord. They just want shiny paint. And what I see in the industry is a lot of, especially young guys, but not always young, any age range actually, when a person decides to take their hobby to the next step, to say start detailing cars for money on the side or go full time, is they get caught up in the world of show car detailing. They see the personalities in the forum world doing 7 steps and creating a flawless finish on a swirled out mess on a beautiful Corvette or a Porsche or something like this, and then they start trying to do that to every car they work on, and that's really a disservice to the customer, because the average person doesn't want that or need it. And again, if they're not going to take care of it the right way, it's not going to hold up. So it's a good question, and part of it really is educating your customers on the paint itself, so they're comfortable with what you can do and what you will do, and as long as it matches their expectations. So.
Okay, we got another question here from Facebook. It's coming to Frank. He is a project manager at PSI Professional Service Industries. He says, Mike, you mentioned the Dr. Color chip. How long would you wait to add wax or sealant or coating over the paint to clear or repair spots?
That's a good question. Came up on our forum recently. I wrote a how-to article on how to use that system. It's really simple. It's 3 steps: dab, smear, blend, and anybody can do it. But I think, and I'd have to go look at their website, I'm pretty sure that Dr. Color Chip recommends waiting 30 days before sealing the touch-up paint. And I could be wrong, maybe it's just a week or so, but the important thing is anytime you're using fresh paint, the idea is to let it fully cure or harden. Any outgassing that has to take place, let that happen before you start rubbing on it with a compound polish or even a wax. And part of the problem is when touch-up paint is new, it's kind of soft, and if you rub too hard, you could rub it off. So you want to let it fully dry. At a minimum, I would give it at least a good sunny, warm weekend. Let it harden up. What I do personally, and what I show in my article, is we take the car and we do all the correction and polishing work first, okay? And then we put the touch-up paint into all the rock chips or scratches, and then put the wax, or we wax it first, then we clean the rock chip and put the touch-up paint on. So all the sealing is done before the paint goes on. Then later on the customer can seal it up on their own. I have 2 cars this weekend that we're going to be putting touch-up paint on. One is a 1967 Continental, and by the way, Dr. Color Chip offers touch-up paint for 1967 Continentals, and the other is the 2000 Arctic White Camaro.
Okay, talking along the lines of fresh paint and everything like that, people go and get their cars painted, then they go to a detailer. What should you, the detailer, turn around and tell those people about their paint and about the process that you can do after a fresh, out of the paint booth paint job?
Well, hey, good question. To tell you the truth, I don't know how common that is, someone to take a car with a complete paint job to a detailer to then have it polished out, because usually the body shop does their buff job. Now, the body shop buff job, as we all know, is usually lacking in quality, and that's where the term holograms is frequently used. But if someone were to take a car that they just had painted to a detailer to have it polished, or have the swirls removed and polished correctly the second time, the thing about that is I don't know of a single paint manufacturer that recommends sealing their brand of paint until at a minimum 30 days air dries past. And that's actually a topic that I've been talking about for 20 years on the forum now. I've probably written 4 or 5 articles on it. And what I do is I always present the argument from the manufacturer's point of view because they know their product best. What I noticed in the forum world is some guy posting under a nickname is trying to tell some other guy that just had his car painted to go ahead and seal the paint. And the guy telling him to do that has no vested interest because it's not his car, it's not his new paint job. And I would say, what's the hurry? But if you're going to take your car, what's the hurry to seal it up? Just let it go for 30 days. And the reason why is because anything that would land on the paint and attack it that you're thinking the wax might protect it from is probably strong enough to remove the wax too, like a bird dropping etching, and etch the paint. So what's the hurry? Just give it 30 days. But if you want to have it polished at a detail shop, just ask them a few questions and make sure they're using all body shop safe products, products that don't contain any wax, silicone, or any kind of thing that would seal the surface so that paint can continue to harden, fully set up, and any outgassing can take place. Good question. By the way, I've had a number of cars painted, and every time I've waited at least 3 to 4 weeks before I've sealed them. Now I've polished them, but I haven't put any wax on them until at least the 3 to 4 week period is passed. Again, I'm not in a hurry. Usually the car's garage kept anyway. There's just no super hurry to seal that paint.
Now, what would, for some quick little tips, you know how you have the clean your pad on the fly and all those, what would be a good little tip that you could share with the people today?
Hey, if anybody's listening and they're new to machine polishing, I'd have to say the most common tip I share is to mark your backing plate with a single mark with the Sharpie marker so you can see when it's rotating or if it's stalling out or bogging down and not rotating. We have so many people that join our forum. Here's an example. Yancey just handed this to me. You can see there is a black mark here, and as this is spinning, it's easier for your eyes to see if it's rotating because there's a mark there versus just a blur of yellow. So it's a real simple tip. In fact, I've always wondered why the manufacturers of the backing plates just don't put that in the mold so it comes from the factory with a mark on it. Kind of works like a timing light if you've ever timed a car. But we have so many people that join our forum that are new to machine polishing. They've basically overcome their fear of using a machine on their paint. They understand that they can get better results faster working by machine using even like an entry-level tool like a Porter Cable 7424 XP. It's a simple tool to use. It'll remove the swirls, scratches, water spots, oxidation much faster than working by hand. And but their questions that come up are always revolve around technique. And the most common mistakes that guys make when they're starting out working by machine is because they're a little bit apprehensive of the tool and working by machine, they may use too low of a speed setting. They may tackle too large of an area at one time. Most directions I've ever read anywhere, whether it's printed, a video, a website, say to work a 2 foot by 2 foot section. And that might be okay for a Flex 3401 or a rotary buffer, but for a Porter Cable style tool, and that would include things like the Griot's Garage and the Meguiar's G110, those dual action polishers, that's just too large of an area to tackle if you're actually removing swirls and scratches. It's okay if you're putting wax on to paint that's already in great shape, but actually to pull the scratches out, that's too big of an area. So shrink your work area size down, bump your speed up to the 6 setting. You want to be pushing down about 10 to 15 pounds. You got to engage the abrasives with the paint, so as the pad is rotating and oscillating, it causes the abrasives to take a bite out of the paint, and that's how you level the paint, and that's visually how you see the swirls and scratches disappear. And the other tip would be is a slow arm speed. So when you think about holding the buffer, a lot of times when people hear that sound, the buffer at the 6 setting, it's really fast, they try to match that with their arms. And what you want to do is nice and slow, using a very controlled front to back, side to side, or crosshatch pattern. And those are the basic tips I'd share with using any DA polisher. If you move up to the Flex 3401, of course, you can tackle a much bigger area because you got a lot more power. But yeah, with the Cyclo, the Porter Cable, the Griots, the Meguiar's, those are all the DAs that we sell here. Pretty much want to stick with about 16 to 20 inches square. Don't tackle too big of an area. If you do, what'll happen, excuse me, what'll happen is you'll go to wipe the wax off and the scratches will still be there. So definitely want to use good technique. Good question.
We're about ready to wrap up here in about another 5 or 10 minutes. Is there any new things that you may be working on or coming down the line?
Yeah.
You might be able to give a little insight on that.
I can't give any information. I will say that it's always exciting when a company in this industry introduces, the three hot things would be a compound, a wax, or a tool. Companies that are established don't introduce new waxes very often. Established companies rarely introduce new compounds and polishes, and those are the kind of things like guys like me. A lot of people know me as a detailer, but I really like to focus in on the paint polishing. That's what gets me excited, is taking what I always call a diamond in the rough and turn it into a glistening gemstone, you know, to create that wow factor. So the things that work on the paint, the tools, the pads, and the chemicals are what gets me excited. And it's fairly rare when companies introduce new technology that really sets the bar higher. And Flex is actually introducing a new tool at SEMA this year, and Bob Eichelberg gave me this new tool after Detail Fest to play with, so I've buffed out a few cars and even some boats with it. And recently I did a full write-up and took all the pictures when I buffed out a 1932 Deuce Coupe, and I'll be sharing that write-up on the autogeekonline.net discussion forum the week before SEMA. And you'll get a chance to see it and see what it can do. And then if you go to SEMA, you want to take and head on over to SEMA, the Flex booth, and check it out, because Bob Eichelberg should have them there to show and let people play with on some demonstration panels. And we'll probably have one in our booth too, at the AutoGeek booth there at SEMA. So definitely, if you're going to SEMA, you want to make sure you stop by the Flex booth and the AutoGeek booth and check out this new tool. Of course, there's some other new products being introduced, but if I were to say anything about them, I think it'd be so obvious as to what they were that it's better just to keep it quiet for right now. I love when people are interested in stuff like that, but it's really hard to share. And the most important thing is, in a job like I have, is I don't work for, I work for AutoGeek, but as an employee at AutoGeek, I also represent over 70 different brands. And so sometimes I got to think of myself as an employee of Flex Tool, as an employee of Makita Tools, whoever it might be, or an employee of Poor Boys, or an employee of Manzurna. And my goal is always to stay on message. If they say, hey, apply, let dry, wipe off, then I'm going to say apply, let dry, wipe off. I'm not going to go out of message. And that's it's a big responsibility. Sometimes it's really easy to take and want to put Mike into the message, so I got to kind of hold that back and stick to their message, because I'm representing them through AutoGeek. And but yeah, no, at SEMA there'll be a lot of cool new products. And here's the really good news: is after SEMA, we will have a Cars and Coffee down here in Stuart, Florida. And at that Cars and Coffee, anything new that's introduced at SEMA will be at our tech session that starts about 9:15 at Cars and Coffee here at Stuart. And the following Thursday, when I do my Thursday night garage, I'll have those products, tools, or accessories, whatever they might be, out in the garage for anybody to play with. Last year, the Italian company Rupes introduced the Bigfoot Mini and the Bigfoot Duetto polishers. And I was given 2 of the prototypes out of 8 in the world. I received 2 of these back in April of the year before, 2013. And after SEMA, I got a production unit of each. And so altogether, I had 4 units, 2 Duettos, 2 Minis. And that was probably the most in the hands of the people in the United States. And we had a detail class here that following Thursday. First time those tools were available for anybody to see and use on a car. And so that's going to take place right after SEMA here at AutoGeek. And then, of course, even better is I have 3 detailing boot camp classes a year, and they're always the same time, because I got people that fly in from around the world, and they got to make plane schedule, hotel reservations, rental cars, all this stuff in order to get here. And the first class of the year is the last weekend of January, and so SEMA happens the first week in November, so the first major detailing class in the United States is my class at the end of January, and that's where we'll have all cool stuff here for you to play with. And that's the plan for this year too. So I think that class is filled up. The next class that we're taking spaces for is in May. All that information can be found at autogeek.net. Just call us, we'll give you the information if you want to attend one of those classes. And you had something else you want me to share there?
Yeah, well, first, quick before we go into that, you mentioned something about Cars and Coffee. Why don't you briefly describe what Cars and Coffee is for some of those people that don't know about it?
Oh yeah, Cars and Coffee is great. Cars and Coffee is a get together of car guys, their friends, their family. It's a time of fellowship, you know, talking about the things that you're passionate about, your car. And our Cars and Coffee's open. That means we don't limit it to any year or specific make or model. If the car's your passion, then bring it on down. Have a good time. We hold these the second Saturday of every month here at Auto Geek, and they start from 8 and they go to 10. And a lot of times we have a special VIP guest that'll either Skype in and take questions from the audience in our air-conditioned TV studio, or they'll be here in person. But you just got to pay attention. Join up on our newsletter, follow the forum to find out who's going to be here and when. And that's always makes it special to meet these people that sometimes you see on TV and get a chance to walk around and share your car with them. But that's Cars and Coffee is right here. Of course, we got lots of hot coffee, cold water, and other drinks, pastries, something to eat. It's a good way to start your Saturday. By the time you get out of bed, get down here, and it's over, you're all ready to go and tackle some kind of activity for that Saturday. Also, what makes our Cars and Coffee unique is I teach a tech session, and I keep them short. It's not like you're going to be in class all day long, but I pick a topic, a tool, a product, or a pad, and put the focus on that, and then just share some tips and techniques that can help you when you detail your car in your garage. But that's our Cars and Coffee, the second Saturday of every month here at Auto Geek.
And isn't Barry McGuire going to be Skyping in with us on this next one?
The next one coming up here in October, Barry McGuire will be Skyping in, and that'll be a lot of fun. That's my old boss. I worked for McGuire's a total of 11 years. I did a 3-year stint and a 7-year stint, and it's a great experience, and I still use and love McGuire's products, and it's always good to see Barry and to work with Barry. But Barry will be Skyping in, and usually the Skype in is about 9 o'clock, so 9 o'clock in the morning. So the Cars and Coffee starts at 8. Our special guest Skypes in at 9, and then about 9:15 we start the tech session. And Detail Fest, in case you've never been here, that's our 10th annual Detail Fest, and it's going to be bigger and better than ever. Just like last year, here's some of the guests that are going to be here: Barry McGuire, Wayne Creaney, Dennis Gage, Bruno Massel, Matt Steele, probably John Graviscus. He came by last year. He's from ShipShape TV, and of course we sponsor their TV show. And I've heard we got a couple new celebrity guests that are going to be here, and it's definitely something that if you're a car guy, you got to put this on your car guy bucket list, because it's a lot of fun. Besides having all the different vendors here to answer questions, do demonstrations, give away free samples, again, we're big on the education side. We run classes all day Saturday, all day Sunday out in our garage. We bring in the experts from the industry. We bring in the famous detailing personalities y'all know and love, and we just open the doors to them and let them do their spiel, and it's a good time. It's a really good time. And of course, the cars are awesome. Saturday is a traditional car show, so you'll see a lot of street rods, muscle machines, antiques, ranging from anything from a brand new AMG Mercedes-Benz to a Model T truck, just the whole wide, diverse range of cars. And this year, and I'm really excited about this year on Sunday, we're going to have a car show called Festival of Beaters. And this is for people that have that project that's not quite done yet, but it runs and drives. And we're welcoming everybody to bring their cars down for the Festival of Beaters, and that'll be all day Sunday. And heck, even if it doesn't run, you want to bring it down a trailer, you're more than welcome to bring it. And this has been kind of the rage in a lot of the car show community, where people are bringing their barn finds and again, just projects that are like halfway done, but they run and drive, and you get to see the progress they're making. Then maybe in a couple years you'll actually be at a car show and see the car finish. So that's Sunday, Festival of Beaters, and then Saturday, of course, the traditional car show here at Auto Geek. And that's correct me if I'm wrong, is that March 22nd and 23rd?
Yes.
It's the third weekend of March, as it is every year. So for more information on that, again, just go to autogeek.net.
All right, cool, Mike. Is there any last minute sign-offs that you want to do? Any little last minute little tips?
No, but the only thing I would say is tonight we have a very special project. It's actually a top secret project. There's going to be a major player, a major corporation here at Auto Geek. They have a new something. Can't really tell you what it is. And I've invited 15 people to come on down and test out this new product. And there's going to be, let's just say, staff here from this company. I don't want to give away what their position is, because that could give away the product. And they're going to be watching these people put the product through its paces, taking notes, taking pictures, and then taking this feedback and using it to move forward with this new product. And I've only seen this happen one other time in the detailing world. And I was a part of that experience. I didn't head it up, but I was definitely a part of it. And that's why I'm pretty excited about this one, because they came to AutoGeek and asked for our help. And that's when I got on the forum and I put the announcement thread up. I got a very cool street rod. It's a 1940 Ford sedan delivery. Now, I looked up the figures on this. They only made 5,531 of these vehicles. This is an all-steel street rod. And the thing about it is, if you don't know, a sedan delivery is huge. And I got 15 guys down here that all need a place to do their little test. So that's why I brought this down. And of course, probably sometime next week I'll put some of the pictures up. I won't show what the product is, but I'll show the before and after of this street rod that we're going to buff out tonight. Of course, we got our detail boot camp class this weekend. And if you've never heard about our boot camp classes, let me just tell you the type of cars that my class is going to get to work on this weekend. One, a 1956 Dodge Lancer street rod built by Richard Zochi. This car has won multiple awards in the custom car world, and it is absolutely beautiful, but it needs a little polishing and a little waxing. So we're going to use it as our first car. And actually, my classic car is sending a team here to film the class, and you're going to see this next year on a new episode of My Classic Car. The next car is a 2000 Camaro, and for this car we're actually going to show how to do engine detailing, and we're going to show how to use the foam gun, Iron X, and the nanoskin wash mitts. And then of course we'll polish the paint with something later on in the class. The third car we're going to buff out is a 1941 Oldsmobile. This is right before World War II started, so anything in 41 is usually very rare. It's black, it's full of swirls. We're going to tackle that with the Cyclo polisher or the Flex 3401. I have to wait until all the cars get here, and then what I do is I kind of gauge the worse or the better the car is and match them to the tool set. After that, we're going to be working on a 1965 Plymouth Belvedere 2. This is a street rod with a radical crate engine in it. And the thing about this is it has a black paint job. It's a beautiful rebuild, but it has some of the worst looking paint I've ever seen in my entire life. I tell people it looks like somebody washed this car with a steel wire brush, and that is the truth. So my class is going to tackle that car. After that car, we have a 1967 Lincoln Continental all original with the 33,000 original miles and the original paint, the original leather interior. We're going to go over the Dupre steam cleaners for cleaning the leather interior, and then we're going to go over how to restore antique single stage paint. And that's a real rare opportunity nowadays, because any car that's around from the old days with this original paint, they just can't find them, let alone have the owner let you work on them. So this class is in for a real special treat. We also have a Town and Country, Chrysler Town and Country van. I usually bring a van in. This one, by the way, is owned by someone that owns a couple dogs. The whole inside is full of dog hair, and they got kids. So we're going to learn how to use extractors on the Town and Country van. And what else do I have? I think I'm missing one there, but you get an idea how many different kinds. Oh, I got a 1939 LaSalle street rod, and it has a brand new paint job, and my class is going to learn how to machine sand using the 3M Trizac system. Then we're going to go over how to use rotary buffers and compounds and wool pads to remove the sanding marks and then polish that thing out to a flawless show car finish. So it's a very packed and full weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, after the class is over, I'll get the pictures up and you'll get to see everybody having fun down here at AutoGeek's Garage.
Cool, Mike, then I think that's about it. Thank you for everybody out there tuning in. We want to thank everybody, and we'll be doing this again in the future.
Yeah, hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. And again, next time, if you got any questions, feel free to ask them on the business side, the detailing side, where I think the industry's going in the future seems to always be a real popular question. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the forum.